Hey Loom Knitters, I hope you're doing well today. Have you wanted to step up your skills in knitting? Well, we can do that today with this pattern, a mug cozy that uses cross right, twist left, make one purl, and purl 3 together. These are all done on the knitting loom. I've converted a pattern over from needles from a special book called Knitting for a Cure by Leisure Arts. Today I'm going to teach you how to make these specialty stitches, and you can get the converted pattern down in the link below. Join me. Welcome to GoodKnitKisses. We're all about helping you stitch your love and love your stitches. All right, so today we're going to work on these specialty stitches. I want to show you on my little sample here. Now, if you want to work up a reverse stockinette sample piece to just kind of start working through those stitches, you can. A reverse stockinette means that the whole front or right side is all purls, and the reverse or back side is the knit stitch. So it's mainly a bunch of purl stitches. Okay. Now on the sides, these borders here, you have a garter stitch border, and then you have this crossed border here. Now every 4 rows is going to get this cross right stitch, and so we're going to work on that together. So be sure and click on that pattern in the link below to get your copy. Now the middle section here is a twist right and left is what makes this little ribbon twist and go around on itself. And then later on up at the top we're going to do some cable needlework. Actually here and here we're going to be moving some bigger amounts of stitches over, and at one point we're going to make one purl and also purl 3 together. I'm going to show you how to do all of those. So if you only know how to cast on and bind off, knit and purl, you know everything you need to know for this video, and then we're going to work through getting you a level up. All right, so grab the link, grab your notes, be sure and listen to the whole video first and then attempt it. I can't wait to hear from you. Be sure and comment down below if you enjoyed this. I'll join you in a moment. We'll begin by working a couple of knit stitches here. I just want to show you the difference between an E-wrap stitch, which is a twisted knit stitch. It makes sort of a Y shape, and then the U-wrap knit, or you can do a traditional knit or reverse purl. So this one on the left, I'm using the U-wrap, and the one on the right is E-wrap. This one is the needle knit version, and you can see how they the stitches lay down nice and flat on a standard knit, which is reflected in the U-knit. So that's the difference. We're going to begin with those. Work either one that you wish, and know that I'm going to use the U-wrap. Okay, so we're first going to knit the first 2 stitches. So U-wrap around and knit that. 1, 2. We're going to begin at row 12. So we knit 2, and then we're going to CR, or cross right. So let's look at the instructions. So cross right is worked over 2 pegs. We're going to skip the first peg, and here we actually are E-wrapping. Okay, so this is just the technique that it's used to get a little bit more yarn and to get the shape that we want. So we're going to E-wrap the second stitch on the left, and then knit the first stitch, passing the yarn behind the first peg around to the front clockwise and between the 2 pegs to the back. You're like, what is that? Okay, it's similar to the figure 8 pattern. I'm going to show that to you right now. Then we're going to pick one of them up and move it over and then replace. So I'm going to show you exactly what I do here. Okay, again, those written instructions are in the pattern on the blog. So we're going to pass our working yarn behind our first peg. We're going to go around our second peg like we would E-wrap. So say if we were continuing in E-wrapping, that's what we would be doing. So we're just E-wrapping that one peg, and now we come behind the first peg that we missed and go around to the front. So we're going behind peg 1 to the front. Okay, so wrap it and then go in between the 2 pegs. So now you should have 2 loops on these 2 pegs, and now just knit over as normal. Okay, so once we've knit those over, this is where the switch happens. So we're going to lift the first peg with our fingers. Just lift it up. You don't need a cable needle. Pick up the second peg and put it onto the first peg. And now this stitch in your hand you're going to place on the second peg, and you can pull your working yarn. And that is it. And that makes a cross right, which is what gives you this look down here. Okay, so you just successfully crossed it, and then on your way back those stitches will get knit and it becomes elongated. And for this pattern here, you just repeat that every 4 rows. You would do the cross right. So you can work this on any other pattern that you have. Now we're going to move on row 12. Go ahead and purl 2 stitches. And now we're going to TL, or twist left. Let's grab our directions. This is also worked over 2 pegs. We're going to skip the first peg, just as we did before, and then we purl the second peg, but do not place on the peg. Then we move the first peg to the empty peg and replace purl stitch on empty peg. Knit new second peg. All right, let's do that now. So we're skipping the first peg, and we're going to purl the second peg. So we're not coming around the back, we're going to the front. Okay, so we're behind the first peg and purl. Notice that we said it's a TL, twist left, and the stitch on the left is the one that's actually getting purled. Interesting, right? So we pull it off, and instead of putting it right back on here, we're just now going to pick up peg 1 and put it on peg 2, and now replace and put that purled peg or stitch onto the first one. Okay, now just kind of cinch up your yarn, and now we're going to knit this stitch here. So we're going to knit this direction, okay, because normally we would knit in the same direction like this. So you just wrap it around and knit that, and you are ready to move on with your remaining row. Okay, so that is a twist left. Now we want to purl the next 3 pegs. Okay, and now we're going to TR, or twist right. I'm going to get my instructions. So twist right is worked over 2 pegs. We're going to skip the first peg, and we bring the yarn to the back around the second peg as if to E-wrap. So just like the twist left, we're going to be working it like we're going to E-wrap it. But we continue to hold on to the yarn and go in front of both pegs, and we purl the first peg. So you're purling the one that's on the right. Okay, so and then you're going to knit over the second peg. So it's similar to the cross right, except the first stitch is purled. Okay, and then you lift those off, and we'll work this together. So you lift the first peg with fingers as it is loose with the working yarn attached, and then you lift the second stitch with hook and move over to the first peg and place the first stitch in hand on empty peg. So let's do that right now. It sounds more complicated than what it is. So we're going around the first peg, okay, all the way around the second peg, and go in front of the first peg, okay, just like this. And we're going to purl the stitch like that. Okay, that's it. Now we're just going to take it off, and we can knit this over and pick it up and move it, and then place it, and then cinch it up. And now we're going to move on and purl the next 2 pegs. Here's a repeat of the CR, or cross right. We're going to make a figure 8 stitch. So we're going behind peg 1, going around peg 2, to the middle of both pegs, going around peg 1, and to the back. So it creates a figure 8. Let's do that from the front part. You go around both of them, okay, to the middle of both of them, and around to cover peg 1. And then we knit the first stitch, knit the second stitch, pick the stitch up, and we're done. And now we finish the row with a knit 2. Let's move on and continue your rows, and I will meet you back at row 16, which moves them around a lot with a cable needle. Then we will do some more specialty stitches on rows 27 and 28. So the next row is row 16. See you soon. And row 16 will be crossing where this ribbon area is. So we're at this spot and I'm on the second repeat. So I've been knitting my first part of my pattern, and you're just seeing a little bit more knitting progress on mine. Yours will not be out this far. I did fail to mention that before, but I'm on the second repeat of this same ribbon. So we have worked up to the first 8 pegs. So I have worked the knit 2, I've done a cross right and a purl 4, and I'm ready to work on the next 2 stitches, actually the next 3 stitches, because in my instructions it says slip 2 stitches onto the cable needle and hold in the back of the work. And so we're going to take this stitch here and this stitch here and put them on a cable needle. So if you've never done that before, I like the J hook of this needle. There are different types ones, but you want to grab the first stitch first so you can pull it off with the needle, or you can pick it off with your pick here, your loom pick, like this, and place it on the needle, whichever one is easiest for you. Okay, so I've got the first one, and I get the second one. All right, and so I'm just going to hold this in the back of my work and just let it fall back here. And I want to take my yarn and make sure it's out of the way, so it's not going to get caught behind that. It's just kind of waiting. Now we want to take this third stitch, we're picking it up, okay, and we're going to move it over. Okay, but before we do that, it says knit 1 and move to the rightmost empty peg. So it's going to be easier to knit it and work it first. So we keep our yarn to the back, okay, and then knit that, pick it up, and move it all the way over to the right. And now you can pull that yarn, okay. And then now we want to put these back onto our loom. They're going to be moving all the way down. So this stitch here and this stitch here are going to move in the same order by moving our yarn this way, our needle this way, and picking them up and placing them on the loom. So if you can place them like this. Okay, let it fall and use your loom tool. Or you can pick them up with the pick and place them on that way, whichever is easier for you. Okay, and so that we're not twisted, they are not twisted, and they're in the same spot that they're supposed to be. We don't want to flip the stitches. So then we work the next stitches in the pattern, which says purl 1, and then knit 1, and then we purl 4, and finish out that row as written. The next time I'll meet you back up is on row 27, and we'll work some more specialty stitches. See you soon. So I'm on row 27, and I've worked the first 7 stitches. That is a purl 2, knit 2, and purl 3. So now we need to work on the make 1 purl, knit 1, purl 3 together, knit 1, make 1 purl, and it's going to cover these 5 stitches here. So if you see in the middle, I've labeled here 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. In the actual pattern, I call out moving these stitches and these peg numbers. If you see these other marks on here, you can see that peg 10 is going to be this purl 3 together. This little symbol here is just showing that 3 are coming down to 1. This is a decrease by 2 because we're getting rid of 2 stitches. And then 8 and 12 have a little M because we're going to make a stitch on there. Now we're happening to do all of these specialty ones in a purl stitch. 9 and 11 are going to be knit. So let's work on this together. We are going to first move peg 9 to peg 10, move peg 11 to peg 10. Okay, so before you start working your row where you're moving stitches around, you need to move the stitches first before you start actually working them. So in loom knitting, it's better to set up that row before you start moving on to these stitches here. It just works better. And needle knitting, you don't have to do that, but on a loom, it's better. And it's cool because you can see how it moves. So now we can set up so that we can make our make 1 purl. So we're going to move stitch 8 to 9 and 12 over to 11. And it may take some doing. You can also wait on this one if it's a little too tight and work that over after you've got a little bit more ease with the yarn. So the way this looks right now is I have 1 stitch on this peg here, 3 here, and 1 here, and you've got 2 empties. So now we need to do the make 1 purl. We're going to go to the back of our loom, and we're going to pick up the bar in between this stitch and this stitch. So you're just going to grab the yarn that's going in between these 2 stitches. Now it's a little tight and it's a little hard to see, but it is right here. So this is the stitch here, and this is the one right here. So you're just going to grab that yarn that's right in between and lift it up and place just like that. Okay, and now we're going to move to this other side and do the same down here. So you're going to go in between. You can see that this is the stitch here, and this one right here is the stitch. Okay, so we're just picking up the stitch right in between, which is this one. Lift up and over, and we have the stitch on here. All right, now we can work this row, and we're going to make 1 purl. So now we just take it and purl that stitch. That's it. It's that simple. So we just purl the stitch that we've already lifted up and over on that bar, and that is an increase. Then we're going to knit 1, which is on the stitch number 9 or peg number 9, and now we want to purl these 3 together. So we're just going to go down through all 3, grab our yarn, and pull it through all of them and complete that. Mine is a bit tight, so I may have to take these off one at a time. Okay. And now we want to knit 1. And then purl 1. So that purl is actually a new stitch that's being made. So what we did is we've completed this area here where we're working these stitches together, and then on the returning row for 28 we'll come back and redefine the top part here. So it's not quite finished just yet. So let's do the technique on row 28. Pause your video and I'll meet you back in a moment. See you soon. So I'm on row 28, and we are actually purling this whole middle section here, but you do need to move some stitches, and that's what refines up this top part here and gets the stitches back into position. They're not fully back in position yet until you do this. So we're going to slip on 2 stitches onto the cable needle, just as you've done before. Slip 1 and 2. Hold them in the back of your work. And now we're going to take this stitch here and purl it. So we are purling all of these. You can pick that up and now move it over to the rightmost peg. Okay. Make sure when you put your yarn back down that it's coming down right after this peg, and then we're going to place these stitches on the cable needle back on. Okay, so take one off. Keep them in the same order that they are, and they will get purled. Just hold that back there. Purl. Okay, and put the last one on. And purl. And that's it. So you're just going to finish out the row as it's written. So after you've knit row 28, then you are going to repeat rows 1 through 4, just like at the beginning, and it's going to get you an extra nice, what I call kind of a blank area. So you just got a field of purls with one set of these twisted cables on the side, these cross rights. So you are going to finish those rows and then make your second one. Of course, I'm on my second one now, so I have rows 1 through 4 to repeat again. Now you can take it off of the loom with some scrap yarn, pattern and measure with your measuring tape, or measure around your cup, your mug, and then you'll be able to seam it together. You can put it back on your loom and you can bind off in pattern. And the way that you bind off in pattern is you knit these first 2 stitches, and then you're going to knit the next 2 stitches doing a normal basic bind off, and then instead of knitting these where the purl stitches are, you just purl them and then lift up and over. So regular basic bind off, and we can put a link down and reference down below. And then for seaming, I'm going to show you part of my needle knitting video on how to seam these ends together. So if you find after you've made these 2 full repeats and you've knit rows 1 through 4 and it's just a little bit short on your mug, just knit rows 1 through 4 until you have got the right size. So be sure and do that, and I will meet you back at the end of the video. All right, so I'm going to stitch these 2 ends together, and this little short tail from the cast on, let's go ahead and weave that tail in first to get it out of the way. It'll make it less confusing when we're sewing in. So I want to work it to the back here. And we'll just go ahead and work all the way down here. I'm going to go into my border here. And as you can see, I'm just following this pattern along. Okay. So you can weave yours in a little bit more. I'm not going to worry about it on this particular project. Okay, so I've got that tail in there. It's going to be less confusing to see less tails. So we're going to put these 2 together, make sure that we're got the right side facing out. And we're going to be working with this long tail here. And we're going to be putting that through our wide-eyed tapestry needle. We want to attach them. So you're going to go alongside where these V stitches are, right here on the end. And we're going to go in that very first stitch, and we're going to go through it twice to lock it in. And actually, I think I'm good. I think I'm just going to go on this other side. Okay. So we went back to the other side where it originally came out of. All right, so I'm going to weave back and forth between these edges here, and it will sew it up. Now, we're going to be going underneath the V stitches that go this way, the knit stitches, and they're facing this direction, not the ones that are on the ends making that chain edge. So just pick anywhere here. I'm just going to look at what these look like. I'm pulling them back so you can see it. So when I go in between where these purl bumps are, you can see that there's a leg of the stitches. You can see 2 of them in a V shape right here. See these? Okay, so we're going to be going underneath those and all the way through, and then we go onto the other side and we do the same thing. We're going to go onto this side. All right, so we're going to go straight onto the other side, this little column here. Okay, this is before where all of the stitches are for the cross stitches. So we're going to go up there. We're going to go back over onto this side where this column is, below where the purl stitch is, and pick up the 2 edges of the V underneath. Okay, and then we'll now go over here, and these are really easy to see because you can see this little V stitch, the knit stitch from that column, and go over to the other side and go this first column over here, and then go to the opposite side, pick up those stitches, and over here, and pick up those, And now you've got these columns all nicely put together. And now we need to go in between where the purl bumps are. And they're not as easy to see. So we're going to go down in between, not these edges here, but in between the row and the edge. And you've got this purl bump. Go right underneath where the purl bump is, and you will see the little V that's underneath there for the knit stitch. Go to the other side, and you see the purl bump. Go right below it, right between those stitches, and pull up, and it connects. So you see your knitting is already connecting up nicely, and just continue going back and forth until you get to the other end, and I'll meet you back up to weave in the ends. See you soon. All right, so I'm through to the other side, and I'm just going to go up here and around, and then go up through again, and create that stitch there. Okay. So now I'm just going to kind of go through and weave my tail back in. All right, so I have a nice finished edge, nice and seamed together. Look at that. Then we're just going to slip it on top of our mug here from my peppermint mocha. And we have our nice little mug cozy. I hope you enjoyed that tutorial today and getting a level up on your stitches. Be sure and let me know in the comments below, what was your favorite one to learn? I know I really enjoyed them all, but I want to see what you think. I love that we can actually do some cable work, some small twists and things without actually using a cable needle. It's really cool how we can do that. So if you like that, please let me know. All right, we'll catch you soon. Thank you for joining me. If you haven't subscribed, please do that now and hit that bell icon for a new video every Friday. Have a great day and happy knitting and crochet. Bye everyone. Subscribe if you haven't and like that video. Thanks for joining us today, where we help you stitch your love and love your stitches. See you again soon.